Am I the a-hole for telling my friend that I've accidentally been sleeping with her fiance? Is it too late to stop the marriage? They're in love, okay? What can go wrong? Your soulmate has another soulmate that isn't you. Hey guys, welcome to Honey Hearts. I'm V, and today you and I are going to be discussing Reddit stories, specifically ones that answer the question of what happens when people go too far and cross the line. I know myself, I struggle a little bit because I tend to go super honest route. I try to confront it right away. But with some of these stories, there's a chance honesty isn't always the best policy. So let's get into it. So this first story is from the subreddit AITAH. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend that I've accidentally been sleeping with her fiance? Who, boy, that's a hell of a title, I'm aware. I don't really know how to start this, so I'll just get into it. I'll preface this by saying that I'm 22 male, very, very gay. I was in high school when I met this friend, and she was a cool older kid the year above me. For all intents and purposes, we'll call her Sienna, 23-year-old female. Now, after high school, I went to an out of state college while Sienna went to a local uni. We kind of lost touch, other than the obligatory happy birthday and Merry Christmas text. So you can imagine my surprise when I got a text from my mom a few months ago saying that a wedding invitation from Sienna had gotten delivered to my house. Already, I'm kind of surprised that OP got a wedding invite because it seems like they're very much peripheral friends. OP continues, sure enough, a quick text to the lucky lady confirmed that she was getting married. Her longtime partner, Marcus, 25-year-old male, had finally proposed. A summer wedding right in my hometown, right when I and some of our other friends would be back in town from uni. I was invited to one of the pre wedding girls' nights because my life is that of two-dimensional comic relief gay side character, I guess, and we got wasted. Like the kind of drunk where logic isn't even in the same dimension. I love how Opie here has a lot of descriptive language. We can kind of hear his sass. I love it. He even uses italics in the original story eyes. When the topic of other people in the hashtag Girl Squad's relationships came up, like the genius I was, I whipped out my phone to show them the hot guy I've been hooking up with as just a dumb summer fling, who turned out to be Marcus. Kill me now to save me from the mortification. Rightfully so, Sienna lost her shit. Fair, no criticism from me. But then she turned on me and started blaming me for, quote, ruining her wedding. Oof. Okay, that is when I think of girls' nights and sharing secrets and sharing about people you've met, guys you've met, I cannot believe that I guess of all odds that the person that Opie happened to be hooking up with had to be the groom. And the bride's just there, sitting there processing this as he's telling her. Opie does clarify. He says, for clarification, because I'm sure this will come up in the comments, no, the wedding invite did not have any photos on it. It was one of those minimalist designs with over the top calligraphy. That's it. Her socials only feature her. I had no way of knowing what he looked like. I don't personally think I was at fault here, but here is where I think I messed up. I, very loudly and to the entire club, drunkenly said, it's not my fault your cheating fiance likes getting his back blown out, Sienna. Oof. I feel absolutely awful. I don't want to be the other woman, technically guy, but you get it. And I certainly don't want to hurt a friend like that. I've tried apologizing 1,000 times, but she's not interested in talking to me, which I totally get. When confronted, he confessed to not only hooking up with me, but also 8 different guys over the course of their 4-year relationship. The wedding's been called off. Am I the a-hole? Hey guys, quick interruption to the story. If you're enjoying these readings, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like this episode and hit the subscribe button, guys. Let's get to 3K. I think very obviously from the beginning, OP's not in the wrong because he didn't know. But saying that out loud in a club when you're there to celebrate the bride who was kind of your friend, I guess they're acquaintances, kind of friend, but he's invited to the wedding and the girls' night. So at least they have some sort of friendly relationship. I think OP did go a little bit too far. The drinking probably didn't help either. Well, automatically, my first thing to say to the bride is, bride, this is a wake up call for you. Good thing you found out before saying I do. I can see how the bride is angry. I think maybe in the moment, finding out that her friend has been hooking up with her fiance probably isn't the best news you've heard all night at the club. She's probably just reacting and freaking out and blaming him in the moment. I'm hoping she kind of is able to calm down and realize that the blame isn't on OP. But I am surprised though that he not only, fiance wasn't just hanging out with OP, but he was also with 8 different guys over their 4-year relationship. So glad the wedding's been called off. Let's see what people are saying. So first comment to in reaction to OP saying, when confronted, he confessed to not only hooking up with me, but also 8 different guys over the course of their 4-year relationship. Comment says, yikes, you helped her dodge a bullet for sure. She's just upset now, but I hope that someday she realizes it was all for the best, not the a-hole. I'm not gonna lie though, this does sound like one of those tropes of one of those CW shows, small town, where people just date within the same friend group. It's kind of giving Vampire Diaries a little bit. Another comment, not the a-hole because how are you to know? I do feel sorry for Sienna though. I feel so bad for Sienna. I'm glad that she found out. Let's see if OP actually addresses any of the comments. I kind of like how sassy OP is here too. Oh, okay. So some people thought that OP is faking the story and that maybe this was AI because of how he wrote it, his personality, his sass, and punctuation. OP replies, I'm very excessive in my writing, if you couldn't tell already, lol. Plus, I'm a stickler for grammar and spelling and correct punctuation and whatnot. So I guess people just automatically assume, quote, nobody actually has a personality when they write. Must be a robot. I think it's very obvious that OP isn't. That at least the story feels very genuine so far, just because of the colorful personality we have here. I will say, when it comes to punctuation, one thing that is my pet peeve when it comes to some of these Reddit stories. Sometimes you have run on sentence on run on sentence. Sometimes you have 3 sentences in one, and reading it can be a struggle sometimes. So I'm really, really glad that OP kind of had his grammar down here. Overall verdict for me, not the whole. And the comments and the verdict seems to agree. I am linking all of the stories in the description too if you guys want to check out to see if there's updates after the episode's up. All right, let's head to the next one. Okay, can you guys tell that I'm in kind of a wedding kick because second story is also wedding related. So this next one is from the subreddit AITAH. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend of 10 years after he proposed during my best friend's wedding? I'm trying not to judge right away, but it is a pretty big no-no. What is it with people wanting to commemorate their own special events at someone else's big event? I don't know. It feels kind of rude, no? It feels almost like one of these common sense things of not to do. I definitely think that this is already crossing the line in terms of boundaries of friendship and also normal wedding etiquette. So already cringing a little bit, but let's see. My 36-year-old female best friend Amy, 37-year-old female, just got married last week. I was her maid of honor and I worked to the bone to make sure her wedding was a success. For the most part, it went well. My friend looked beautiful, the food was great, the flowers and decorations incredible. She was so happy and it made me feel proud. I was part of the group that worked to give her such an important day. Amy and I have been friends since we were in elementary school. We've reached all of our milestones together, went to the same college, even lived in the same neighborhood. She's the closest I have to a sister, and even our parents joke we're reborn twins. Needless to say, Amy's one of the most important people in my life. Whenever any of the OPs start giving a description about how close they are to someone or how great the relationship is, I automatically envision the relationship just shattering to pieces. Like something bad is going to go down because there's too much positive context for you to be on Reddit talking about this. So let's see. At the end of my master's, I met Danny, 31-year-old male. He hired me as a tutor and after a few sessions asked me out. Oh, that's kind of cute. That's a meet cute. I had never dated someone younger, but he was very sweet and I liked him, so I said yes. We've been together since. He has an older brother, Bobby, 39-year-old male, who was introduced to Amy in a house party I hosted a few years later. The two were immediately taken with each other and they started to date. Eventually, Bobby asked Amy to marry him. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, so OP met her boyfriend, I guess through a tutoring session, and then they became friends with, or OP became friends with his older brother, Bobby, who is now marrying Amy, her best friend. That's kind of cute. OP continues. During the wedding preparation, Danny casually mentioned how it would be a cute idea to propose during his brother's wedding. Bobby agreed, but both Amy and I immediately shut it down. I told Danny I found that kind of tacky. A person's wedding is a special day for them, and tainting it with stealing the attention was just wrong. Okay, we kind of know where this is headed. I'm giving kudos to OP for stopping it in its tracks. So Danny and Bobby are over here. I feel like they were testing the theory. Maybe they already planned it by this point, but they're kind of testing the waters and they're trying to casually bring it up without being too obvious to see what OP's reaction is going to be. But I'm calling it, even from the title, we know Danny's probably going to propose at Bobby and Amy's wedding. And OP at this point is already saying, no, it's kind of tacky, which I agree with. You don't want to steal the attention. It's kind of weird, especially with a wedding where someone has invested so much time and planning into it. Okay, OP says, after that, they stopped talking about it, so we kept going with the preparations. At the wedding reception, Bobby suddenly stopped the music to make an announcement. He said the day was very special as he was marrying the love of his life and kept singing praises to Amy. I thought it was a cute gesture, so I just moved to sit on my chair to listen to the speech. Then, Bobby said a sentence that made me dread what was coming. And now, the day is more special thanks to my brother's announcement. I am mortified. This is, what do you call this? Is this secondhand embarrassment? This is not even, this is fourth hand embarrassment. I'm like 4 times removed from the situation and I'm cringing with dread. Why? It's not even just embarrassing to Amy and Bobby, the married couple. I think it's even worse for OP as well because it's her special moment, but it's going to be seen in such a well, not positive, in such a negative light. Oh, and even the idea of being engaged to, you want to be happy and excited when you're being engaged to. But now that feeling, it's going to be replaced with dread. OP continues, suddenly Danny was in front of me, kneeling with a box. Amy was in tears and ran out. I screamed at Danny, telling him he was a jerk and went after Amy. At first, she was angry with me, thinking I was involved in it. So were the other bridesmaids. Thankfully, one of the girls had seen me call out Danny and told the others about it. I told Amy I would never do this to her. We hugged and we all got out of the venue to Amy's suite. We found out later through the men's mother that Bobby gave Danny permission without speaking to Amy about it. There are so many red flags here. Well, first off, I want to say kudos to OP for stopping in its tracks and not going along with it, and then going after her friend and comforting her friend because something like that just gets dropped on you. I think it would have been justified if OP was kind of speechless in the moment and shock as well. But the fact that she's making the move to comfort Amy the bride and prioritizing her feelings in that moment really screams volumes about their friendship. I really like their friendship. Aw. But also glad that she got a chance to explain to Amy and then Amy understood and believed her too. Because this is the type of thing I feel like people break friendships over, or at least it causes some sort of rift or long term misunderstanding. I am pissed though that Danny, or not Danny, Bobby, the actual groom, never told his fiance about it. How are you going to allow your brother to propose to the bride's best friend without telling the bride? It feels kind of bizarre, no? Why would you make such an important decision without talking to your partner? Not to say this is a thing where you need to, quote, ask for permission, but you need some sort of mutual agreement and you need to respect your partner's opinions, right? Ah, part of me wants to tell Amy to not only run out of the wedding venue as she has, but also run out from the marriage. Because at this point, okay, if they're at the wedding reception, I guess they just said I do to each other already. Is it too late to stop the marriage? Is it? And am I being too harsh? I don't know. I think this crosses a line on so many levels. Okay, so OP says, I called Danny that same night to tell him we were through, and I wanted him out of my apartment by end of the week. Wow, OP is decisive. I love that. Usually I get a little bit annoyed and peeved if OPs are a little bit too wishy-washy and they say, "Oh, but we've been together," and they say all these amazing reasons and memories, but there's this really glaring red flag in front of them. And they're just like, "No, no, it's fine. It's fine." So, really glad that OP actually put her foot down here. She stood up for her friend and for herself in the relationship. OP continues, I sent my mom to pick up my dog and parrot. Love that she has a dog and parrot. Just to make sure he didn't do anything to them or take them with him. He ended up taking my TV and game consoles. I had them since before he moved in, but his mother was nice enough to bring the consoles back. For all I care, he can keep the stupid TV. Okay, I have to say, not only Amy, well, okay, we can't say Amy dodged the bullet yet because Amy technically just married Bobby, but at very least, OP dodged the bullet with Danny. I'm glad that she just, cut the cord, snipped it in the bud, and was proactive enough to go ahead and pick up her or have her mom pick up the pets. I'm kind of annoyed that Danny kept her TV and game consoles though, because that's worth money. So Amy is now trying to get her marriage annulled since she feels she can't trust Bobby, as she should. How did he manage to break her trust on the very day he vowed to keep it? The boy's mother has been nothing but a saint to us. She even paid back to Amy the money she spent on the wedding and told her to use the honeymoon with one of her friends. So Amy and I are now packing to go to Australia. She and Bobby had postponed it for a month so they could get a whole month of vacation. I'm a freelancer that works from home, so I'll just take my laptop. Oh my gosh, the girl power in this story is so heartwarming and uplifting. All around, I love Amy and Opie's friendship. I love that Bobby and Danny's mom, even though we don't like Bobby and Danny, their mom is a rock star. I mean, returning the stuff, paying Amy back because it's not her responsibility. She doesn't have to do it, but she's going out of her way to take responsibility, I guess, in place of Danny and Bobby, which is really nice of her. And I love that now they're just, they're not going to waste a honeymoon. They're going to go on a girls' trip. Opie says, since this whole fiasco, Danny has been blowing up my phone. Some of his friends have joined into this, claiming I'm the a-hole for throwing out a 10 years relationship over a mistake. That he only wanted to make a cute gesture to prove how much he loves me. Except the cute gesture was taking over my best friend's wedding after I had said how much I disliked that kind of thing. Still, a part of me feels I'm overreacting. So Reddit, am I the a-hole in this? No, absolutely not. I'm glad Opie did this. I mean, yes, are you going to dangle the 10-year relationship because of quote unquote a mistake? I think this goes beyond the mistake though. He broke her trust. He blatantly proved that I don't care about your opinion on our special moment in our day. I'm going to go ahead and do what I'm going to do anyway, just because it looks cute. I'm annoyed with Danny and Bobby here, but I'm glad that OP and Amy seem to have their happily ever after. So OP just mentioned to the people PMing me to call me names or insult me, have the balls to post in public or just leave me alone. I have no interest in cowards that hurl insults in private. Also, for the record, even if it had been a perfect proposal, for my own reason, I would have refused to marry. We were not in marriage talks, far from it. Oh, so it seems like Danny was kind of heading down this road on his own anyway, regardless of how bad the timing was for the proposal. Let's see comments. Not the a-hole. I don't understand why people are so stupid as to do something that they have specifically been told not to do. Then try to defend themselves by saying, but I thought you'd like it. Their mom gets it. I agree. Mom gets it. Love the mom. I do hate it when these situations happen. People do things that their partners say, no, let's not do this. I don't like it. They do it. And then their reaction is always very defensive in the sense of, but I did it for you. I thought you would like it. It was for us. No, let's be honest. You did it for you. Danny did it for himself. Comments echo this. The bride said no, and he still did it. I cannot fathom that. Agreed. Okay, so some people ask more about the circumstances and how OP kind of rejected the idea of being proposed to. OP says, both Amy and I told him clearly that we didn't want a proposal during Amy's wedding. I don't know what Bobby told him, but he knows I hate PDA and public proposals too. There's a saying, to be heard is to be seen. And I can see why OP was so hard on, okay, this relationship is over because you're telling me your girlfriend hates PDA and public and even said bluntly, I hate public proposals, and you do just that. You do both. Even if the relationship had been even 20 years, I think this is a breakupable offense. OP says, I said this to another poster. I'm not going back ever. I sacrificed too much in 10 years, and marriage was not even in the cards for me. It was just not the right thing. I don't know why he got it in him that we were in the marriage stage. His actions afterwards cemented it. I'm not going back to a thief. If Amy wants to forgive her husband, I'll support her, but it has to be her choice. I love OP. She's definitely taking, I guess, a non traditional route towards it in terms of usually people would be torn and pressured to stay. I'm glad that she's sticking to it. Clearly, her and Danny were already on the rocks, even far from the proposal anyway. And it seems like this was really the last straw. Most comments are also saying OP is not the a hole. And I have to agree. You guys will need to let me know what you guys thought about this. Hey, Bear. If you guys see a tail or a little bit of Beanie, I'm not sure if you guys see her. She's hanging out here with me right now. Beans, are you ready for the next story? She's like, no, I'm going to walk away from the drama. All right, next story is also from the subreddit AITAH. We have a lot of these in this episode. Am I the a-hole for threatening to cancel the wedding because I'm jealous of my fiance's sister? I, 30-year-old female, am getting married to Roy, 31-year-old male. We met in college and hit it off right away. He's handsome, charming, smart, and supportive. We fell in love and planned our entire future together. We planned where to live, how many kids to have, vacations, college fund for children, retirement, etc. I love him so much. Dang, I even see an exclamation point here, OP. OP really does love Roy. He's my soulmate and my best friend. See, is this pessimistic of me? It's starting off so positive that I'm expecting a train crash in the story. Obi continues. He would tell me he's proud of me whenever I achieve something. He's super supportive of my dreams and ambitions. He'd motivate me to take up projects which I was hesitant to. He'd reassure me that I'm capable and talented enough. He'd compliment me every time I got dressed to go out and tell me how lucky he was to have me as his girlfriend. I am side-eyeing the heck out of this story. They're in love, okay? What can go wrong? Roy's father passed away when he was just 8 years old, and his elder sister, Kim, 33-year-old female, was 10. His mother, Yami, 55-year-old female, never remarried. She's a very kind and sweet lady. I never got to know Kim as she lived in a different city for work and rarely visited us. We got engaged 8 months ago in an engagement ceremony. In my country, the to-be bride and groom get engaged in a ceremony among family and close friends. Kim moved back to her city and found a job here. This is when things start to get complicated. It's customary here for the girl's parents to pay for the wedding. My dad hired a wedding planner and told me to plan the wedding with them to me and Roy's liking. When we started the planning process, my future mother-in-law stayed out of it, but Kim would tag along with us wherever we went, to the florist, to the wedding planner's office, to the caterers, everywhere. I wanted it to be just me and Roy. I told him that I didn't like future sister-in-law third-wheeling something just the both of us must have been doing together. He told me that Kim just wanted to be involved in her brother's wedding and I should be more welcoming of her. Ooh, I'm pretty sure the comments are going to say something about this. But this is a no-no. Bride, run away. To-be bride needs to unbride herself. This is so concerning. Already, there's too much of it, overstepping of boundaries. Why on earth is sister stepping into everything? I mean, I get it if the couple's welcoming it, if the couple loves it, but why is she involved in every single step of the decision making? And I can't believe that bring up the concern to her fiance, Roy just sort of goes, you should be more welcoming. She just wants to be involved. Kind of expecting this behavior from mother-in-law, but did not expect it to actually be sister-in-law. OP continues, I would have actually been okay with it if she'd keep her mouth shut and not give us her, quote, valuable input. When I choose flowers, it would be too pastel. Choose a different color palette. When I would suggest the chair arrangement to the planner, she'd be like, that won't give a proper view to the guests on the far left. I wanted to have coconut pudding at my wedding. It was my absolute favorite dessert growing up, and I wanted to share it with my guests on my wedding day. But guess what? No, not coconut. I'm allergic. Bride needs to have her coconut pudding. Bride gets it. What in the world? Why is I'm thinking, okay, maybe she's just tagging along, but no, sister in law is super vocal. She's nitpicking every single decision that bride makes. At this point, is it bride and groom's wedding or is it sister and brother's wedding ceremony? It's kind of weird. Also, why would you want this much input onto someone else's wedding? Am I weird? Like, I get it if you think bride and groom is making a mistake in terms of, okay, maybe they wanted puke green color palette and you want to help them to not choose that palette because it would look weird to the guest or something. I don't know. I'm trying to give some sort of rational explanation for this behavior, but no, it's just weird. Let the bride have her coconut pudding. OP continues, the thing that pisses me off the most is that Roy always takes her side when it's my choice versus her choice. He wouldn't fight for anything. He'd be like, quote, it doesn't matter which flower it's going to be as long as it's you who's my bride. Let it go, babe. It's not a huge deal. Only thing that's important is that we're marrying each other and starting a new life together. Shut up, fiance. Let it go, babe. How about let it go, sister-in-law? That's so strange to me that he's not even fighting for her or finding it weird or acknowledging her feelings. I hate to drop the word, but it's time. Actually, no, they're not even married yet. So you can't drop the word. Can't drop the D word. They're not married, but you can drop the breakup. I do think this is where bride should probably rethink their relationship. Bride goes, when the coconut pudding thing happened, he asked me not to be selfish as it's not just about me and it's about the both of us and our families. He said, Kim is family and I cannot exclude her from having the food at our wedding. I don't think anyone's trying to stop Kim from eating. I think bride is just fed up with Kim's extreme input in every single little decision, including dessert. Bride says, I was really frustrated at this point. It's as if we're planning Kim's wedding and not mine. What did I say? She goes, the final straw was when we were shopping wedding dresses. Okay, before I read the next line, I'm going to throw out my guess. Kim probably has a lot of opinions about OP's wedding dress and what it looks like and what she has to wear. And I'm surprised if Kim isn't forcefully volunteering to be a bridesmaid already. I'd be surprised if she didn't have very choice opinions about what bridesmaids should wear. So let's see. Let's see where this goes. The final straw was when we were shopping wedding dresses. Wedding wear would be an appropriate word as it is our traditional clothing. My mom picked out this beautiful green dress for me and I loved it so much. But Kim had to poke her nose here as well. She told me that green isn't my color and I should try something else. Roy agreed with her. Okay, does Roy want to just do this whole wedding ceremony thing with his sister? It's giving very weird vibes. It's bizarre. Even in general, right? Who agrees with their sister that much? How is it that Roy finds his sister's opinion so much better than OP's in all aspects? Even the dress? Come on. Bride says, we then started to shop for the families of the bride and the groom. When it was Kim's turn, I kid you not, this B picks out the same green dress and decides she's going to buy it. I lost it. I didn't want to make a scene there, so I walked out. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Kim is in love with her brother. I don't know. You can't tell me otherwise. What sister or sibling in general is going to be that involved with her brother's wedding to the point where she's going to pick the same dress that she said, oh, that looks bad on you. Green's not your color. Now she's going to go and pick it for herself. This is the screaming, walking. Usually green flag's a good thing. No, Kim is the red flag, even though she wants the green dress. Bride needs to go. She needs to exit out of this situation and remove herself. Bride goes, I and Roy had a huge fight about this at home. He told me that green wasn't going well with my skin tone and that it suits Kim better. That I should stop acting so immature that Kim picked that dress after I'd already picked out mine. So I guess it's reciprocal. Roy is also in love with his sister. See, if Kim wasn't the sister and a female best friend or even a regular friend of the groom's, I would have immediately pegged Kim for being a jealous girl who just wants the groom for herself. Bride continues, I couldn't believe my ears for the first time since we started planning our wedding. I noticed how he's always taken Kim's side and never mine. I couldn't believe that the man I was looking at was the same man I fell in love with. I'm thinking maybe there were signs that Roy is very pro Kim all the time. But maybe with the rose colored glasses and being in love, that OP never maybe noticed. Roy and Kim share a strong bond due to losing their father so young. They were each other's best friends and support system growing up, but that doesn't justify him taking her side when it's our wedding and our vision. Back in college when we were dating, he'd brag about his sister to anyone he could, even if that person was complimenting me. Like if someone complimented the taste of the coffee I made, he'd be like, quote, if you think this is delicious, then you must try the coffee my sister makes, etc. It was annoying, but wasn't a big deal, and I let it go as I knew he was really close to her. But this time, I cannot let go. It's our wedding, not Kim's wedding. Who does that? I get being proud of your sibling and wanting to praise her and brag about her, but to the point where someone will make a comment unrelated to your sibling in any aspect, and you say, oh no, you think this is good? Wait till you see so and so's. Isn't that you at that point trying to find excuses to praise your sister and to brag about it? I yelled at him that if this wedding is happening, then it's happening like we both envisioned it, or it's not happening at all. Roy got mad at me and yelled that I was just jealous of his sister as I can never be as good as her. That I'm a bitter person for holding a grudge against Kim, even though she's been nothing but kind to me, that she was just trying to help, etc. I don't hold any grudge against her. I just want to have my dream wedding. Am I the a hole? Um, where do we begin? OP is very obviously not the a hole. Kim is a walking red flag that wants to wear the bride's green dress. And I'm convinced that fiance, perhaps maybe he just wants to marry his sister. It's never okay for your fiance to tell you that you will never be as good as someone else, especially if it's a woman and someone that he's close to. He's probably been thinking for a long time. Like, I don't think this came out in the heat of anger that he's saying, oh, you'll never be as good as my sister. You're just jealous. I think he's always thought it. And maybe this is the moment that it came out. I would be very surprised if Reddit isn't immediately jumping to dump him. Girl, you're better than this. Save your money or save what you can and run away from this relationship because this seems like a walking disaster. I mean, how is it going to be different once they get married? Because if it's the wedding, which is supposed to be their vision, the couple's vision, is already including so much of just Roy and his sister's vision and excluding OP's, what's going to happen when they get married? What's going to happen when they're planning their long-term or longer-term future together? I don't think Roy is going to one day wake up and go, oh my gosh, I've been so delusional. You're so right, babe. Your opinion matters more to me than my sister's. I wouldn't be surprised at this point if Opie's sister, or not Opie's sister, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if Roy's sister somehow wants to stay over or intrude on their honeymoon or something. She seems the type. Let's see the comments. I can never be as good as her. Right there is your future. Your soulmate has another soulmate that isn't you. I agree. Another comment says, this sounds so incestuous and unhealthy. It's giving me the creeps. Imagine living your life third wheeling a marriage where your husband is in effect married to your sister. Yuck. It's weird. It's weird. I think what really cemented the weirdness to me is, okay, you can explain away that she's just really involved and invested in the wedding, and that's why she's third wheeling on all of their appointments and consultations. But the moment she said to OP and discouraged her from getting the green dress she really wanted and then picked it for herself, it screams, I want to be the bride. And I'm glad that I'm not the only one thinking this. A lot of the comments are thinking the same way. Comment, not the a-hole, stop the bus, get off and run. Most comments are saying not the a-hole, and you guys already know where I am at with the story. Let me see if there were any responses from OP on this. OP did post this on her friend's account. She mentions it at the very beginning of the story, just saying that names are changed to hide their identities. And she posted this because she wanted unbiased opinions. She has an edit. She says, I am currently at my friend's house. I cried myself to sleep after posting this. Woke up a few minutes ago and she told me that there are around 1,000 people who agree with her. I forgot to tell you all that English is not my first language, so I apologize for any grammatical mistakes. I didn't want to read the comments because I was scared of the obvious. Honestly, I just thought everyone would be telling me to cancel the wedding because he isn't right for me, which of course you all did, and thank you for that. But the things you've all pointed out, like the emotional incest and how she could control our future, even my future kids, never crossed my mind, not once. I don't know why I couldn't see those things. I was so dumb. After reading the comments, I almost threw up looking back at our relationship. I must have ignored them because he would claim that their bond is stronger than the other siblings because they lost their father and had to face hardships together. I'm so heartbroken to the point that I black out if I stand straight. This pain is too much for me to take. His mom called me on my phone, but I didn't answer. It's so overwhelming, it's difficult to breathe, and I feel claustrophobic. My friend told me I might be experiencing anxiety. We're gonna go see a doctor first. I don't feel like I'm in a condition to talk to anyone. Oh, I feel so bad for OP here. Seems like she's seeing her fiance or hopefully ex fiance in a new light and not in a positive one either. I really, really hope that OP gets maybe the therapy that she probably needs after this, the right help she needs, and support from her friends. It seems like she's, staying at her friend's house. So that's good that she has at least one person to talk to about it. I'm really hoping that she isn't pressured to stay into this because we don't know what the relationship between the in laws are, both families, as this does seem to be an international wedding as well. What are your thoughts on sibling relationships? Are you guys close to your siblings? Would you say you're close or you're more like the typical, I guess, movie sibling relationship where you guys fight but have each other's backs? I have siblings and I would say I'm pretty close to my sister, but I can't imagine a world in which I'm including her and involving her in every step of the way of the wedding, the same way that Roy is. It just feels like here, Sister Kim definitely feels threatened by OP. And it shows in her reaction. It feels very territorial. I just can't imagine my sister ever taking that route or being so intrusive into what's supposed to be my special day and special moment, especially if my fiance wasn't okay with it or if I personally felt weird about it. I don't know, guys. If you don't agree, you'll have to let me know. All right. Speaking of crossing the line and weird boundaries between siblings, we have another one, and it's another wedding one. This story is from the subreddit Am I the A hole? Am I the a hole for not wanting to hijack my brother in law's honeymoon alongside my wife? Ah, is this a thing where people like to tag along to other people's weddings and relationships to this degree? OP says, I, 28-year-old male, have been married to my wife, 27-year-old female, for 2 years now. Financially, we've both been struggling a bit in the past years. But our situation is mostly fine now, even though we still live a relatively modest life and we can't afford to casually go to expensive trips to other countries. Even our honeymoon was only a trip to the beach to a country where we've already been, and even that cost us quite a lot. My wife's older brother, 33-year-old male, is definitely much wealthier than us and is known for spoiling his now fiance, 30-year-old female, with gifts and expensive trips. My wife definitely commented a couple of times on it, and I could feel she was secretly jealous about it. She and her brother are definitely very close to each other, and he helped us quite a bit during the times when we were struggling financially, and he even allowed her to be a bridesmaid at his wedding, even though my wife and my brother in law's fiance aren't really close. Yesterday, my brother in law announced in front of their family that he wants to reward his sister for putting so much effort into planning his wedding by full on paying for both of us to go together with him and his fiance on their honeymoon in Paris for a full week. Before I could say anything, my wife immediately accepted it and hugged her brother. But then his fiance started going at him about inviting us to their honeymoon without discussing it with her beforehand. And my brother in law defended himself by saying he just wanted to help his sister experience something she can't do on her own. That's a weird offer. Um, I get it if brother-in-law, out of the goodness of his heart, wants to say thank you and send them on a lovely trip to Paris. Like, sure, I'm on board. Why not? But does it have to be the very same time, date, place, and specifically together with the couple for the honeymoon? That feels weird, no? Do you actually want to have a double date on your honeymoon the whole time? No, that's a big no for me. And I'm glad the OP, at least, who's the brother in law, finds it weird and is trying to say, no, that's bizarre. It kind of bothers me that his wife, though, the sister, is so on board with it. Because even if I was offered this, when I think about it, if my brother were to say, hey, I'm going on my honeymoon, go on this trip. I'm paying for everything. It's my honeymoon, but you're also invited with your fiance. I would immediately say thank you, but can I redeem the trip for like a different time, maybe a different place, potentially as far away from you and your honeymoon as possible? Who wants to intrude on someone's honeymoon? Honestly. Opie continues, they were arguing when my wife suddenly intervened and told his brother's fiance to stop acting like such an entitled brat because not everyone's as lucky as her to have a wealthy enough partner to support them. Oh, she did not. The audacity. Okay, I'm going to be really mad at brother in law if brother in law doesn't step in to defend his wife. It is not being entitled if you just simply want to spend your honeymoon with your partner and not his sister and brother in law. Wife being able to enjoy the fact that her partner is wealthy and can support some of the things that they do and their lifestyle has nothing to do with the sister. I don't care that she's related to him. She's not entitled to her brother's wealth. He doesn't need to take care of her, especially just because he's wealthy and she's not. I mean, that's a nice thing to do, but she's not entitled to it. If anything, she's the brat. Opie continues, brother-in-law's fiance started yelling at my wife about how she's just a leech to her brother who took over her wedding and now wants to invade her honeymoon too. I eventually got my wife out of there, and on the way out, I told her that maybe it's better for us to refuse going on my brother-in-law's honeymoon as his fiance clearly is uncomfortable with it. She asked me if I was an idiot for wanting to pass up a trip to Paris for free, that she worked way too hard to convince her brother to invite us, for her to back up from it now. Oh, okay. So this kind of gives context. So she's been putting a plan in place to try and convince and pressure her brother to invite them to the honeymoon? That's even weirder. It's one thing if brother-in-law is just offering it and being thoughtless about it. It's another for her to have been kind of putting a plan in motion to make this happen. OP says, I told her that maybe she can arrange something else for us, and I don't want to be the reason a marriage falls apart. But my wife told me that their marriage is not our business, and if it falls apart, it will only be my brother-in-law's fiance's fault. Where to unpack and where to start? She's a little delulu, isn't she? How can you reasonably be on a trip shamelessly, barging in a couple's honeymoon, and then ignore the whole fact that it's our honeymoon and say that, oh, if their marriage fails, it's the fiance's problem or the to-be bride's problem, and it's not your own, and you had absolutely no impact on it whatsoever. Oh, and I won't be going on this quote shared honeymoon. And she started arguing with me about how she can't believe I'll act this way when she only did this for us, and said that she'll take her brother's offer without me if she has to. We ended up sleeping in different beds, and even today, my wife's still giving me the cold shoulder. So, am I the a-hole for my refusal? So, let me get the story straight. Wife has had this plan in the works for a while to convince her brother to allow her and her husband to go on their honeymoon because she wants to spend time. Okay, assuming it's a financial thing, because she does make it clear that they're financially not as well off as the brother, that she just wants to have a free trip. Fine. But why the honeymoon? Why Paris? Why honeymoon? Why same time? And the audacity to scream at the bride. I mean, bride is fully justified being angry. I'm really happy that OP is at least putting his foot down, saying, this is weird. You do you. I will not go. For me, this gives me the ick. This is a big ick. I don't think I could look at my partner the same way if they were so adamant about going on someone else's honeymoon and forcing themselves to be there, knowing that the couple doesn't really want them there. Let's see comments. Comments say, what the hell did I just read? Not the a-hole. I'm really just baffled that your brother-in-law would announce that without consulting his bride, and that your wife would accept even though it upsets the bride, whose happiness and comfort matters most alongside the grooms on a effing honeymoon. In response to OP saying, I told my wife I want no part of it. Very smart. What kind of vacation is this going to be? You're either traveling with a very icy couple or a freshly separated brother-in-law. There's no way this would be fun for anyone. You can't force your wife to reject the gift, obviously, but for your own sake, you shouldn't go. In what world would this be a nice trip to be in? Sure, you'll be in Paris. Sure, it's paid for, but are you going to be hanging around this unhappy couple the whole time? They'll be fighting. They'll be upset with each other when they're supposed to be literally honeymooning. And you're just there. I can't imagine a world in which this is going to be a happy ending type of vacation. OP does address some of the comments and he shares some context as to his situation. He says, yes, we both have jobs. Our financial situation is a bit better than it used to be, but we're still nowhere near as wealthy as my brother in law. In response to another comment, OP also responds. Comment says, not they hope you're right that the situation's wrong and your wife is acting aggressive and strange to you and her future sister in law. A honeymoon is for the bride and groom. Sit everyone down, thank your brother in law, apologize to your brother in law's fiance if your wife refuses to do so, and suggest to go on a 4-person trip sometime after their honeymoon. Or, not go on a 4-person trip at all. I think even if brother in law had suggested, oh, it's fine, we'll go on our honeymoon, you guys can go on a separate free trip later. I think that would be best case scenario because fiance and at this point, the wife is at odds with each other. There is no way they're going to enjoy a vacation together. Opie says, I already suggested to my wife to convince her brother to arrange something else for us, but she said that she already has plans for the trip on their honeymoon and she doesn't want to give up on them. Are we sure that this isn't just wife's way of breaking the relationship up? At first, I thought, okay, maybe she just really wants her free trip to Paris, which, you know what? Get that back, I guess? No, not really, but okay. She wants a free trip. But now I'm thinking if she's been planning for this and she specifically wants to be on their honeymoon and she's saying that she has a whole itinerary and she has plans in place for this trip that wasn't even confirmed yet, that tells me that maybe it was her plan all along to break up the relationship. I think wife just doesn't like fiance and is trying to break up her brother's marriage. I don't know. Am I reading too much into this? Comments are saying huge not they hole. My advice, OP, stand your ground. This will do you no favors to go on this so-called free trip because you'll pay for it in other ways. Your relationship will pay for it, your relationship with brother-in-law and fiance. I would reevaluate your relationship with your wife because I don't know that this is the type of person you want to spend a lifetime with. But that's just my 2 cents. All right, guys, our last story is a little bit goofier, a little bit more silly, but I thought you guys would enjoy it. This one is from the subreddit AITH. Am I the a-hole for wanting to end things with my fiance over a shirt? I feel like from all the Reddit stories I've ever read and all the stories I've ever heard, people have honestly broken up over less. OP says, my 25-year-old male and my fiance, 27-year-old female, have been together for 3 years. No relationship is perfect, but I think ours was pretty great until recently. She's very particular about things and likes to live a very regimented lifestyle. For example, we have sex every Tuesday and Saturday because she likes to prepare for it, as do I. I really like this as it takes off a lot of the pressure, and we both have a normal libido, and both needs are being met. She also hates surprises, hates them. She doesn't want me to buy her gifts, birthday, Christmas, etc., without her input. To be clear, this is awesome as it eliminates a lot of the stress. We literally go shopping together for our gifts. Love it. You know what I love? I love that OP and his partners seem to be on the same page with these things. Okay, at first I was a little surprised that they have such a structure. Okay, sex only on Tuesdays and Saturdays, but they both like it. It takes the pressure off their relationship. I think that's all good. Like if they like it, who am I to say no? So far, I'm not seeing any problems, but let's dive into it. There have always been some things that really bother her about me. For example, I'll wear jeans twice before washing them. She thinks this is gross and it kind of upsets her. I normally cave into her quirks for the sake of her happiness. Let's talk out clothes, guys. How often do you rewear an article of clothing? For me, I definitely think it depends. For example, if I'm wearing, I don't know, like a top, bottoms, like to go out, and I come back, I am changing before I am going to be hanging out in the bed or lounging around the couch. I just feel like there's outdoor clothes and then indoor clothes. Is that weird? I have to admit, I do not wear my jeans twice. Like I'll wear them once, like for the day, and then I'll wash them. But it doesn't sound that bad to wear jeans twice either, depending on the activity. It's not like he's super like sweating in them and running through the mud, I'm thinking. So I'm also not so grossed out that this is some sort of big glaring deal breaker. A while back, I had looked up an article on this and how often you're supposed to wear certain items of clothing. And it's different for everyone, right? But technically, you can rewear clothes, of course. It's not like you're dirtying them up so much after one wear. But for me, I'm a wear one time then wash type of gal. Except for like jackets, like outerwear for me is kind of reusable and it doesn't directly touch you, if that makes sense. I kind of see it from both sides of okay, like not everyone will rewear jeans, but on the other side, I don't think it's the end of the world. So let's see. Opie says recently she went shopping at a thrift store with some friends and found a shirt that she thought I would look good in. She sent me photos of it, and after an absurd amount of discussion, she pulled the trigger and bought it. When she gave it to me, she told me to wash it before wearing it. I said okay, but wore it next day anyway. It looked fine and smelled fine, so I wasn't worried about it. When I came home that evening, she flipped out. Honestly, based on her reaction, you would have thought I came home covered in feces. It was so extreme, she ended up spending the night at a friend's house and we went 3 effing days without talking. Wow. Okay. Well, first off, I am side eyeing OP a little bit because a shirt, specifically from a thrift shop, I don't know how thrift shops typically handle their clothes, whether they wash it beforehand, whatever. Thrift shop or not, usually if I'm going to buy a new item of clothing, I'm going to wash it before I wear it because I don't know who's worn it before. I don't know where it's been. The uncertainties, like, might as well just wash it and save myself the pondering of where it's been. I'm kind of on the girlfriend side of why didn't you just wash it before you wear it? Did you have to wear it the next day? But I also think it's a big overreaction for a girlfriend to give him the silent treatment for 3 days and to spend the night at someone else's instead. I think that's a little extreme. I don't know. I think girlfriend is kind of the a-hole for her extreme reaction. Is that bad to say? I don't think OP's reaction of wearing the shirt was to that degree of no, for a fact, you're the jerk. I hate that he ignored what his girlfriend said about it, but it's not to the same level. Opie says at the end of the third day, she returned home to apologize while emphasizing how gross it was and that she wished that I would just listen to her. Her apology seemed very half hearted. Oh, I see. So it feels like it's one of those apologies of, I'm sorry I did that, but it was because you were gross and you did this. So, okay, I can see how it's a little bit of a semi apology, not a real one. Opie says, now I'm wondering if I want to be with someone who's so uptight. I really do love her, but she does react strongly to minor things like this. Going 3 days without talking was too extreme. I'm very torn. She, already made a lot of preparations for the wedding and invites have been sent out, but I don't know what to do. Am I the a-hole for leaning towards ending the relationship? Oh, I misspoke. I said girlfriend, they're fiancés. Um, well, one thing I'm surprised by is that a situation like this didn't come up earlier on, but they're preparing to get married and she went 3 days without talking to him and basically going MIA. Uh, that's a red flag for me. Only because I think beyond the situation of the shirt, right? Whether you wash it or not, at the end of the day, when you have a fight, is this how she's going to react? Is she just going to leave the house and disappear for 3 days and not talk to you? Do you really want to be in a relationship where that's how someone reacts to an argument or a disagreement? I don't know. I'm kind of hesitating in terms of telling OP that this is okay, snip the relationship, or this is maybe you need to reevaluate and have a conversation about this. Because we also don't know if, okay, maybe is this just a preference that she has, that she's super strict about clothing cleanliness and whatnot? Or is there some context on why she's the way that she is and she's so hammered down on this? OP says, I really want feedback. She's a good woman with a few overbearing quirks. Up until now, I've been fine with them. Edit, she's super sweet and nice. I love her a lot, but the last incident was an eye opener. It was so irrational. There's no way to cancel the wedding without ending the relationship. She will blow up as with most people. Since people have asked, she doesn't want kids. Ah, okay. So I'm assuming some people asked about the kids is because, okay, if she's so regimented and so specific on cleanliness and things like that, having kids it might be more of an issue for her. So I see why people asked. I agree with OP though. How can you cancel the wedding without ending a relationship? I've never heard of a case where someone has ended their engagement without breaking up. Because the idea is that most relationships you are together because you want to see forever, right? And usually the wedding kind of cements that. And if you say no to the wedding, it's almost like you're saying no to the happily ever after. a question that OP needs to ask himself. I don't know that Reddit can really help him. It's just whether or not he's okay with it, right? He's clearly not, and it's enough to send him to Reddit to ask himself this. I don't know. Well, it makes me want to ask OP, do you love your fiance to the point where her quirks, her overbearing quirks are bearable for you long term? And that do you see this as something that you guys can both work on? Or is this done? Like, is this the final straw? Is this kind of the eye opener and that's it for you? Let's see comments. Not the a-hole. Honestly, I'm surprised you would even shop in a thrift store. You should always, always, always wash anything that comes from a thrift store because you just have no idea of how the previous owner lived and cared for their clothing. That being said, her reaction was way extreme. You really should consider if you could live the rest of your life following her rules. How do you think she will apply her extreme rules to children? I think that would be my biggest concern. She might benefit from counseling. Oh, a lot of people chimed in on the cleanliness thing and thrift shop clothing. Someone also said you only have to watch one episode of Hoarders to know you should always wash thrifted stuff. I love how everyone's kind of honing in on the why didn't you wash the shirt? I agree, Opie. What? Just wash the dang shirt, please, before wearing it. But that being said, fiance definitely went overboard. Second comment, not the a-hole. I'll wear trousers far more than twice without washing. But yes, one should always wash something from a thrift store before wearing it. Nonetheless, her reaction was quite extreme. Yes, you should wonder if you want to stay with someone so exacting for the rest of your life. I would have bolted long ago. Consider your situation carefully. Yeah, I'm on board with the comments here. I think they nailed it. Fiance is definitely somewhat of an a-hole for how extreme her reaction was. I mean, there wasn't like a huge discussion, at least that we know and see. I think this is one of the stories where, for the first time, I'm kind of indecisive on what advice to give to OP. I'm not comfortable saying, hey, break up, or also, oh, no, this is not that big of a deal, stay. It's something that OP will need to discover for himself. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this more straightforward, or is this something that you're also kind of a little bit iffy on like me? Let me know in the comments, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and tune into our next one coming soon. I see you guys.